All right, everybody, welcome back to another deep dive. Today we're going deep into Somali politics.
Always a fun time.
Yeah, right. But really fascinating stuff and kind of high stakes at the moment.
Very high stakes. Yeah,
So
yeah.
so we're going to try to break it all down and look at what's going on. Um, so I guess first of all, for listeners who maybe aren't super familiar with
Yeah.
Somalia, um, Somalia is a country that has faced a lot of challenges
Decades of challenges, yeah.
for decades.
Civil war, famine, you name it.
Yeah, it has a very unique kind of political structure,
It does.
where clan alliances are really important.
They're the backbone of the political system, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not a simple kind of
Yeah.
two-party system or anything like that.
No, no, no.
And so that's kind of the background that we're working with here.
Absolutely. And within that system, you have a president right now, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud.
Yeah, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, and his term is actually coming to a close in 2026.
TikTok.
Yeah. So that kind of adds another layer of I guess pressure.
Pressure and complexity.
Yeah, to this whole situation. And the thing that we're really looking at today is how some of these clan alliances are kind of shifting.
Yeah, they're fracturing in some cases, which is never a good sign.
Yeah, it's kind of worrying because
Yeah.
because as we said, these alliances are
They're essential.
so important to stability
Mm.
in the country and to the country's ability to deal with threats like Al-Shabaab.
That's exactly right. I mean, you can't have a functioning government, a functioning state, a functioning security apparatus if everyone is at each other's throats.
Yeah.
And these clan alliances, they're not just about who gets to be president.
Right.
They filter down, they affect local politics, resource allocation, even how people view their own security.
So when they start to break down, that has ripple effects throughout society. Right?
Absolutely. It creates openings for instability, for grievances to fester, and that's exactly what groups like Al-Shabaab thrive on.
Okay, so let's dive into some specifics here.
Hmm.
One of the big stories that's been coming out is this rift between President Mohammed and the Habar Gidir clan.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And the Habar Gidir have historically been like a key supporter
One of his main backers, yeah.
of Mohammed. So this seems like a really significant.
It is. It is. It's definitely raised eyebrows in the international community and among Somalia watchers
Yeah.
because it signals that Mohammed might be losing his grip on power even within his own clan alliances, let alone on the national stage.
So what is it about? Like, what are the Habar Gidir upset about specifically?
Well, they're essentially accusing Mohammed and his party
Okay.
of trying to sideline them. They feel like their influence in Mogadishu, the capital, is being diminished.
To-
They're concerned about representation in elections, about how their growing population in the city is being factored in, about resource allocation. They feel like they're not getting their fair share.
Okay, now this whole representation and elections thing, this is where I think we need to get a little deeper for people.
Absolutely.
Because it's not like a simple, one vote system in Somalia.
Right. It's not a Western-style democracy. Somalia has a very unique system, what's often called the 4.5 clan power-sharing model.
4.5, that's
It's a bit complicated.
yeah, a bit complicated.
Yeah.
So break that down for us a little bit.
So basically imagine you've got a pie chart.
Okay.
And the slices of that pie represent the major clans in Somalia,
Okay.
and they get seats in parliament based on the size and influence of their clan.
Okay.
So it's not about individual votes so much as it is about ensuring that each clan has a voice in the government proportional to its size and power.
So the Habar Gidir are worried that their slice of the pie is shrinking.
Exactly. They see Mohammed's government as potentially manipulating the system to favor other clans at their expense.
Okay, I see. Now here's where it gets even more interesting to me.
Mhm.
It's not just the Habar Gidir who are kind of pushing back against Mohammed.
No, this is what makes it so intriguing. Even some of his own core clans, the Mudulowd and Hawadle, seem to be distancing themselves.
Yeah, this is what I find so fascinating. Like if you're the president and you're losing support from your own.
It's like losing your home base, your foundation.
Yeah, that's a pretty precarious position to be in.
Incredibly precarious. It suggests that the criticisms against him, that he's more interested in consolidating his own power than actually tackling the problems facing Somalia, might be gaining traction even among those who were traditionally his staunchest allies.
Okay, so what are the Mudulowd and the Hawadle saying?
Yeah.
Specifically about Mohammed?
Their concerns echo those of the Habar Gidir, but they also go a bit deeper. They feel like he's not delivering on his promises. He came to power promising to improve security, to fight corruption, to rebuild the economy, but they argue that he's become more focused on political maneuvering and staying in power than on actually achieving these goals.
So they're saying he's putting his own political survival ahead of the needs of the country.
Exactly, and that's a very damaging accusation, especially when it's coming from your own clan base.
And that perception of weakness or of putting yourself first, that's got to be like music to the ears of al-Shabaab.
It absolutely is. Al-Shabaab loves nothing more than a divided Somalia, because a divided Somalia is a weak Somalia.
Yeah, and we know from past experience that they're very good at exploiting these kinds of divisions.
Oh, they're masters of it. They'll play clans off against each other, offer protection to those who feel marginalized by the government, even negotiate with clans who are fed up with Mogadishu.
Wow. So it really adds this whole other level of complexity to this.
Absolutely. It's like a multi-dimensional chess game with incredibly high stakes.
Yeah, and it's not just, you know, political maneuvering, it's people's lives.
Exactly. People's lives and livelihoods are hanging in the balance. The outcome of this power struggle will have very real consequences for ordinary Somalis.
It's so easy to forget that when we talk about these things in abstract terms.
It is, but we have to remember that behind all these political machinations are real people trying to live their lives, trying to build a future for themselves and their families.
Okay, so we've laid out this kind of precarious situation that President Mohammed is in. What does this mean for him going forward?
He's got less than 2 years left in his term, and he's facing a critical choice. He can either try to mend these fractured alliances to rebuild trust with the Habar Gidir, the Mudulowd, the Hawadle, or he can try to forge new alliances to find other clans willing to back him.
But wouldn't it be incredibly risky?
It would be. It would be like trying to switch horses midstream. It would take time, and time is something he doesn't have a lot of.
So he's in a real bind.
He is.
Yeah.
And the clock is ticking. Every day that passes with these divisions unresolved is a day that al-Shabaab can exploit, a day that Somalia edges closer to further instability.
So it's really a race against time.
Absolutely. And the outcome of this race will have profound implications, not just for Somalia, but for the entire region.
Wow. It's a pretty sobering thought.
It is. It's a reminder that even in the seemingly distant corners of the world, what happens in one country can have far-reaching consequences.
So for all of us watching this unfold, the
Mm.
question is, can Mohammed pull off some kind of, master stroke here?
A political Houdini act?
Yeah, and regain control.
Yeah.
Or is Somalia headed for even more turmoil?
That's the question, isn't it? And the answer will depend on a whole host of factors, from Mohammed's political skills to the calculations of the various clans to the ever-present threat of al-Shabaab.
So it's a situation we'll definitely be continuing to follow.
Definitely. Somalia is a country at a crossroads, and the choices made in the coming month will determine its fate for years to come.
A country at a crossroads facing some really tough challenges,
That's putting it mildly.
but also a country with a rich history
And a resilient people.
and hopefully a brighter future ahead.
We can only hope. The Somali people deserve a chance at peace and prosperity after all they've been through.
And it's up to all of us to stay informed and engaged, to understand the complexities of what's happening there, and to support efforts to build a more stable and prosperous Somalia.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us. And to all our listeners out there, stay tuned for more deep dives into the stories that matter. We'll see you next time.